a voice for many.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandy J's podcast, A Voice to be Reckoned With, would like to thank you for making the right choice in choosing a podcast that moves a nation. And now, here she is in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Brandy J, of A Voice to be Reckoned With. Guys, we've been inside for weeks with the stay inside ordeal, and it hasn't been easy for many. Because with this, some folks have it more tough than others and are in situations where staying home isn't the best idea, but it has to be done. And there's things that are going on that some folks don't even have a clue. I have here today special guest Scott Silverman, crisis coach. And Scott is here talking to me about some of these situations and about the good things, the downside, and just touching bases. Very relatable to very many of us. So I personally think that many would want to hear this and need to hear this. Scott is so gracious to leave information here for anyone that needs to reach out. So let's give him a mindful ear and let's welcome him back. Scott Silverman, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back with your host, Brandy J, A Voice to be Reckoned With. Today I have here with me, awesome person. He is a crisis coach and CEO, founder, and owner of Confidential Recovery, Mr. Scott Silverman. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Brandy. How are you?
I am well, and yourself?
Good, thank you. Happy, what's today? Today's Sunday. I mean, it's a miracle sometimes when you remember what day it is with what's going on.
Yes, it is. I have been having that problem often. Like, the days are all meshed together. And then I told my son, I said, okay, we're definitely going to have to put a calendar up and make sure that we do not forget what day it is, because that's very normal. Because we're so used to having like a schedule, and this day we do that, and this day, and now it's just like we really don't have much of a schedule. I mean, for me, I'm starting to work. We started virtual school now on Zoom, so but that's very brief. They only give you like 30 minutes of class for each, like first, second, and third. So that's like very quick, and then it's done.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. But,
so how are you guys adjusting to that? Because that's obviously, you're at home and you've got distractions around the house and you're trying to focus and, grab the information that's coming at you. So how's that working out?
Well, for me, it was weird because, first of all, I kept almost forgetting. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to work. I'd get up. I'm like, okay. So I had to like hop on, and then a few times I was a little behind and kind of disturbed the class, but it was different. I just I think the timing, the length of time, 'cause the head teacher of the classroom is like, she has to like, get in as much as she can. So, kids come in kind of late. I don't think the parents are understand, like, you got to get in here. This is like, I had to call around and say, hey, this is back to regular school. Like, this is not a choice. So they're coming in a little late, and then some weren't coming. And so, I don't know. I don't think it's better than nothing, but I'm definitely know that we're going to need more than this, way more than this.
Well, I think, that term that everyone's using now, the new normal, I think we're going to evolve into hopefully something that'll be a good, happy medium, but it's going to be some real adjustments. And I can't imagine who this is going to be easy for. I mean, this is something no one's ever experienced. This is something that's overwhelming in many aspects because it's touching so many different parts of our life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally been at home for nearly 5 weeks, and I think I put 30 miles on my car. And the only reason I put 30 miles on my car is I had to run to the office one morning to just take care of some stuff when nobody else was there. And I've gone to a couple of, supply runs, and my daughter's been delivering stuff to us, which is great to have that support. So it's very interesting. It's almost like we're in this, fourth dimension right now, and each day is something that's different for us to have to adjust to.
Yes, it is. It's really weird. I was telling my son, we're just like, this is so weird. It's kind of like not a dream, but it's really trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, none of us experienced before. So that's something that connects us all over the nation. And, we can all say that we have in common and share with one another. And I've noticed that too about people lately since it's been going on. People have been more empathetic to one another. And, and kind of just been as supportive as much as they can. So I have noticed that part.
And in some ways, you're right. It's really become a neutralizer because it doesn't really matter who you are. It doesn't matter what role you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how independent you are or what part of the community you live in or what your job description is or what your schedule looks like or how important you are, whether you're a government official or you're working for the county or the city or you're individuals or entrepreneurs or professionals. It doesn't matter. This has impacted all of us. It's kind of an interesting, I think, neutralizer because no one is insulated from this. And when you're watching, there's a special this morning I was watching about how we're into people's homes via Zoom, where we'd never actually be seeing some of these, hoity-toity, movie stars and musicians. And they were talking about people are making comments about what's in the background of their setting and how normal everyone really is, other than the few people who have 20 Emmys sitting on a shelf behind them. But the point is, it's a interesting neutralizer. It tells us all that we're just a small part of a big thing, and we're all in this together. And hopefully, we're all going to win it together in a positive way as well. But it doesn't. This is not a zip code specific issue. This is something that's really impacted the entire community and the world. I mean, that's just amazing when you think about it. I mean, I can't go back, and I've been on the planet over 3 decades, and I can't imagine anything I've ever seen quite like this, where the whole world is impacted. But anyway, let's get to stuff today that we can hopefully direct towards people who may be out there suffering a little more than others and maybe be a resource for. So take it away, Brandy.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you. Okay. Well, okay, Scott. So I just wanted to check in and ask you, how has it been for you having to help people, from home and with the social distancing? Obviously, it's a big difference, and I'm pretty sure some struggles come with it. So how has that been looking for you?
Well, for your listeners that may not know me, Scott H. Silverman. I'm going to give my phone number, 619-993-2738. I'm a crisis interventionist and a family navigator and run an outpatient program called Confidential Recovery here in San Diego. Outpatient meaning non-residential. And what I've been doing is, like I normally do, is just take phone calls and put my name out there and my phone number to encourage people to make phone calls. But what's happened just in the last 5 weeks, the entire recovery community, for example, any recovery meetings of any kind pretty much have been canceled because they're sitting in common spaces. A lot of them are in the faith-based basements, first floors, big halls, and they've all been canceled because of the social distancing that needs to be done. So that's created a real interesting disadvantage, if you will, for people in early recovery who have been told for years, if you really want to get clean, you've got to go to meetings, you've got to be with others, you've got to socialize with them, you've got to hang out for, come early, stay late, go to the meetings, have coffee, and connect. So here they are all of a sudden making the decision months ago to get sober in 2020. And now they can't get to those meetings. So the world's changed. I mean, obviously Zoom and Facebook and FaceTime and, other mechanisms, Skype, that people can get online and talk to each other. They've been encouraged to do, and they're doing it. I have probably experienced personally in the last 5 weeks about 30 different meetings, and it's been fascinating because you can get online, you can talk to people from all over the country. So that's really been an awesome opportunity to hear from somebody in Wisconsin or maybe Milwaukee or New York or Boston or Florida or Texas or the Dakotas or the Carolinas about what's going on in their world. So we're also finding ways to connect and communicate that way. And I've been a speaker at a couple meetings, and I've got a few meetings I'm coming up and speaking, and I get to speak for a few minutes and answer questions. So I think it's an exciting time because there's a level of connectivity, I think, that we've not quite had. And with this disease of addiction, most people, because of the stigma and the disease of denial, they really don't want to go out in public, raise their hand and say, yeah, I have a problem. So I think this could be an interesting way to get people involved in recovery. The difficulty is during this period of time, if you're isolated and you're alone, you're probably getting loaded if that's an issue you have. Alcohol sales are up 70%, and the worst enemy for someone new in recovery is isolation and being alone. So it's caused those of us in the field of treatment to change the way we work, telehealth, minimizing contact, obviously. And it's really hard, though, to reach out to somebody who's under the influence via phone because they can insulate and hide behind it. But once they wake up and they decide they want to jump on a meeting, there's a way for them to hear about experience, strength, and hope from others. So that's something that's really changed for me personally. I kind of enjoy it because now I can talk to 30, 40 people, and I can put my number up in the chat room, and so can they, and we can talk to each other. And when you're homebound like I am, there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. So in many ways, I'm getting a lot of things done I wouldn't normally have time for, but there's a lot of things I can't do, obviously, because of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You see the benefits from it, but also, not. And I think that is pretty cool for someone to be, that really wouldn't want to go, out and, in front of a lot of people and say, hey, if they can just do it this way and get them, involved. So I think that's, pretty cool too, actually.
Sure.
And like you said, get to talk to people like all.
I was going to say, also with the Zoom format, you can block out your picture so people don't have to see you from a video perspective. So you can actually just sit and listen to meetings, real-time meetings. So there is a way. I mean, it's going to take a while for people to kind of hook onto that and, and accept it. But it's a way of getting into everyone's home now that we couldn't do before, or we didn't think about doing before, that could actually hopefully create some, interesting opportunities for people who really want to access support and help. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I totally agree. Because like a lot of things were like entering into my head too with this this new way that we have to, adapt to now. Like maybe like if someone's out and about or in a situation where they can't really pick up a phone or anything, or maybe work or something close to that, and they're, needing to talk, they can possibly, just another way like Zoom or like to listen into a meeting, or I mean, I think it just opens up a lot of doors for someone to connect still in situation if they're able to. But yeah, so that obviously that is a concern too. You said being, inside and alone, isolation. As far as that, what is there anything else that you noticed? I didn't know the alcohol sales had rose so high. I knew, I didn't really think about it, but I just knew that people would be probably drinking more, but it never dawned on me that it's that much more,
Well, I saw an interview with I don't know who it was. It was a few weeks ago. Somebody who actually lived in New York, and in New York, a lot of the housing is vertical, and somebody was saying, I'm homebound, and I can look out my window and I can see my liquor store across the street down. He's at the 8th floor or something, and he said the line has been around the block for weeks. So I just started doing some research, and then a headline came across that liquor sales are up because they're most businesses are negatively impacted right now, and even bars that serve food who can deliver food on the curbside for pickup are I believe some of them are selling liquor as well, as long as it's closed up. So it's created a way for people. And look, when you're home all day, and you normally drink at happy hour or you're consuming or self-medicating, this is in some cases a horrible time, and it drives people who may not have the capacity to go, well, I'm going to read a book. No, I don't like the way I feel, or I'm detoxing from yesterday, or I'm crashing and burning. I mean, I can't even imagine what people who are, I can imagine, as a prior substance abuser, that, people who are active with their consumption of things like Oxycontin and heroin and methamphetamine and marijuana and fentanyl and other medications that make people feel differently, self-medicating. I mean, right now, you can't be out in the streets, and if you are, you're a glaring target for whatever, and you're easily spotted. And law enforcement stopping people if they don't think you're on your way to work or doing something that's essential. They're stopping you, and they have the right to do it, they say, based on what the governor is saying and the mayor's doing, to ask you what's going on. So, and crime is way down, which is interesting because that nobody's at work, businesses aren't open, and people are hunkering down at home, so you don't see the home invasions. So it's an interesting time. So we're all kind of like in this suspended animation, but there are a lot of people that are not doing well at home, and they are anesthetizing themselves. That's the way I like to call it. So, but that's a side effect, obviously, of what's going on. But in the meantime, there's also, like I said, meetings going on. I'm available to talk to people 7 days a week. I know I'm on different Zoom meetings with professionals around town. They're all doing telehealth if they're not seeing clients. And telehealth is simply talking on the phone, doing a Zoom clinician contact with doctors. And treatment centers are unfortunately not doing real well right now. Some are, but most aren't across the country, from what I'm hearing, because people aren't getting on planes and flying across the country to go into treatment right now because of all the different restrictions. So, and my biggest concern around all of this, Brandy, is we're going to see, as the doors start to open and we come back out around, there's going to be a huge need and demand for what's going on. And, and something we haven't talked about yet, but I know is a side effect of all this is, domestic violence. There are people that are, sitting in homes and they're fighting. And, if they're drinking and they're fighting even more, those situations get aggravated and amplified. And, I'm hearing that the phone calls are down, and probably simply because you can't make a phone call when, your batterer is sitting right next to you. So it's a very precarious time, an unsafe time for a lot of people. And there's not much they can really do, or they feel even more helpless. I know that the protectors are out there, and I've heard that, I know our district attorney's a big advocate for that as well. And my daughter's a family law attorney, and, she's willing to help and do what can be done. But it's, again, these are circumstances because of what's going on that have created some unfortunate barriers for a lot of different people, especially those who've already were suffering.
Yeah, it's pretty scary because, the longer this goes on, and then, you said when you add the alcohol and then just the daily 24 hours a day, you know what I mean? That could become intense, and it could, who knows where it could go. We know where it could possibly go, which a lot of times it ends in someone, being killed.
No, and it's been on the news. It's happened, and look, just my wife and I mean, they talk about untreated trauma. We've been, in the same rooms now for weeks, and that's unusual because we're both, we both work outside of the home. She's a realtor, but she's home when she can be. But it's amazing, you're seeing each other so many different hours. We're kind of getting to know each other again, which is, fun and interesting and sometimes frustrating, but and everyone's doing that now. But that's what's kind of interesting. All the families are doing it. So I want to encourage people to take advantage of it. Take the positive side. Get a puzzle out. Watch TV. She came in this morning. She was watching there's a safari that's telecast on Instagram live every day, and the people that run these safaris, they don't have any guests. And so the animals are doing things they wouldn't normally do, and they're capturing it live for an hour or so every day, which is kind of cool. And, you've seen the musicians out there that are doing things, and movie stars that are doing stuff from their home, and classes that are going on, and make this and create that, and do something with your garden, exercising, cooking, nutrition, painting a wall, remodeling. So if you take advantage of it, there's some great things that can happen. I think, not to put you on blast, but I think I heard you say, how many more times can I clean the same floor, or clean the bathroom, or wash the sheets, or clean the refrigerator out? I mean, we pulled stuff out we hadn't seen in quite a while. And so, it's a great time to stay on the, upside here, it's a great time to practice self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Get up in the morning, do some sit-ups and push-ups. And by the way, I'm a firm believer in those who can't do can teach. So just because you're hearing it from me doesn't mean I'm necessarily applying it. Because I'm one of those people, I'm making pizza. I had brownies the other day, then we baked the cake and, things we wouldn't normally do because we wouldn't take time to do it. So, go out in the garden, sit out in the backyard, plant some stuff. Nurseries are open, I understand. And of course, I'm sure Home Depots are as well. Just, it takes time to get in line, wait in line, but why not? Why not do some stuff that you haven't done in a long time or you've thought about doing and never thought you had the time to do it and take advantage of it. So there can be some great positive outcomes from all of this, if you think about it. So, our dogs don't even understand why we're not leaving the house. They're looking at us funny. Aren't you going away? We have things to do while you're gone. So it's, if you take the high road on this thing, there's a lot of great stuff that you can do.
Yeah, very, very, very true. Actually, my son, this is his third try. He's been trying to grow a plant. And we actually got ours from the Walgreens. It's a plant growing kit. And so this last two seemed to be successful. He was kind of heartbroken for the first one. He was excited when I got him a plant. He's like, I'm going to take care of this plant and do this, do that. And he was on it, but it just wasn't working out. And we were taking it outside, but it was just like, I don't know. It didn't work out. So, I surprised him and gotten some more. And so these ones, I said, let's just go ahead and leave these outside, because we have a nice little garden area where nobody really messes with it. And it's been working so far. So we've been, doing stuff like that. And, and I feel like too, that there's always those things that we said that we, and then this is that time where, like, if you ever wanted to, had like these hobbies you wanted to do, right? Or, to, draw or something like that. Like, this is that time, where you can do those things. And if you have kids, they have great, if you're a creative, imaginative person, then, kids love that stuff. Cause I know I'm great at that with kids. And, you can turn anything into, you could turn something that's a chore into a good time. So, you can trick kids into thinking they're not learning, but they are. And, I did a show where that you can have kids do, but they're actually learning at the same time, so they'll still be getting that, education, and all this time that's being passed. There's so much that we could teach our children instead of just the Common Core stuff that they send home or from school. We could take them back to old school, teach them how to be independent. Because, look what's going on. Stuff that's self-sufficient, because kids, they're kind of they think everything is on the phone. and another thing, Scott, that I noticed and that I wanted to bring to light for a lot of people is that kids are online more often now because they're in school, online. And I know bullying was always, that my area where I just, seen so much that was not being looked at. And now, the cyberbullying that was like really high up there, that's even more, it's like more of a danger zone there that so parents just to be more aware of, because there's no, you don't really see it. You have to be aware and pay attention to that even more. So I kind of,
I was gonna say, think about the time too you have with your child and your family where, you're not rushing to work or you don't have to go here because you can't, and you're kind of, if you will, stuck with each other to be able to talk about things and experience things and share things and listen in a way that you probably haven't, done in a long, long time, if ever. Because think about this, look at the boundaries we have in some ways, but on the other side, you look at the positive side of it, look at the time you have together if you're taking advantage of it. We don't have children at home, but we're FaceTiming every day. And we have family Zoom meetings with other parts of the family. And, we actually, we had Passover last week, and I know people celebrated Easter. We actually sat for 3 hours while we were having dinner. It was weird and it was funny, but it was nice. It gave us a chance to at least catch up and, watch how people chew with their mouth open and drop things and how they cooked and talked about recipes and how grateful we were for we could actually do that. So, we're doing that with our children and our family, and I hope, all of your listeners are as well. It's a unique time. One of the things I've always talked about is the only thing that I know I can control is my attitude. So when I wake up in the morning, if I'm thinking about how bad things are, things will be bad. If I'm thinking about how good things are, they're going to be good. And if I'm not sure how to think about them, I'd rather lean towards the high road. I'd rather say, you know what, today's going to be a great day. Yeah, it's a little rainy. Okay, so I'll watch some more Netflix. I'll watch a new series. I'll binge watch something, or my wife will do a puzzle, or I'll clean my office a little bit, or I'll make some notes, or I'll delete some old emails, or I'll think about, things I haven't done in a while, and, reach out to some old friends and say hello. And I got that. It was an article in the paper a couple of weeks ago, and I heard from some people I haven't spoken to since high school. So that was kind of cool. And we kind of caught up, and, one of them called, said, "Can I borrow $20?" It was pretty funny. We were laughing. I said, "No." But it was a joke. It was a joke. So it's a great way to connect. It's I don't know how to say it differently. It's a unique time, and you can either take advantage of it, or you can let it impact you in a negative way. And again, I want to put out my phone number if somebody wants to talk. 619-993-273. I'm a crisis coach. I'm a family navigator. My passion is to help others, and if I can help you, call me or text me. And we'll set up a Zoom meeting, or we'll talk on FaceTime, or we'll do something that, and what I'm doing, Brandy, through all of this until things get back to a new normal, I'm offering a free 10-minute coaching session. So, normally I charge for what I do, but at this point, I'd rather be connecting with people and be a resource. And if you want to hire me as a coach down the road, we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, the call is free. And that is my second favorite F word, as you know. And 619-993-273. And I dare people to call me. I wish my phone was ringing off the hook. I want to drink from a fire hose, because I know if I can be helpful, not only is it good for the person I'm talking to, but it's also good for me in my own recovery and my own support of others. So I really encourage people. You're wondering, I don't want to bother. It's not a bother for me. If I don't want to answer the phone, I won't. If it's late at night, I put my phone up. I'll pick it up in the morning, leave me a voicemail. Because you know what? We're not going to be able to do this on our own. And I know when I have my issues, I try to do it on my own, but there's times I need to reach out just like everybody else. And I think it's important to let people know it's okay to do that. And it's helpful for the other person you're talking to as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you, putting that out there and letting people know, because people aren't too quick to ask, myself being one, know how to, or when someone says, "Do you need," like, I get dumbfounded, like, I'm not used to someone asking me, "Do I need help?" And then I'm not, wanting to really, it's just hard for some people. It very warming, and when there's someone saying, "Hey, it's okay," you know what I mean, and kind of like reaching out, putting a hand out, saying, "Come on," and you're like, "Okay." So that's all. Unless you do that, and I appreciate you for that. So Scott, I know you also have some youth that you have worked with that have families have been struggling with their, like, maybe they're teenagers that have had their struggles with addiction.
Now, run that by me again one more time.
I was saying that I know that you have had youth, like teenagers that you dealt with that had struggles with addiction.
Oh yeah, it's and it's an interesting time for I missed the key word there, teenager. Yeah, teenagers right now, between vaping, legalized marijuana, there's mushrooms back in town and hallucinogens back in middle school. It's really tough for kids because they're, in their mind, from what I've learned, and I'm not a teenager now, but I was, and I used to be an unlicensed pharmacist and a major drug seeker. So I kind of get the compulsive obsessive behavior side of it, but there's a lot of kids today that, are just struggling in general before all of this happened. And it's difficult for them to raise their hand and ask for help. And when mom and dad intervene, what they're usually doing is, what's wrong with you? Or why are you doing this? Why can't you talk to me? Why would you do this to yourself? And those are questions that the average person, when they've crossed that line, they're not waking up in the morning going, I can't wait to get high today so I can ruin my life. That's not a conscious stream of thought. It's just it's a happenstance when someone starts putting mood altering substances in their body. So it's tough for teens, and look, they can call me as well if they want, and we'll talk, and parents can talk with me as well. And what I do with parents a lot is just simply say, look, You were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Sometimes you just need to listen, and listen with an open heart. Let your kids talk. Let your kids tell you what's going on. Sometimes just them venting or sharing what's going on, and not the question of why are you doing drugs, because that generally will get you an answer that will shut you up. I mean, I call it the shut up response. Kids will just like, are you kidding? It's like having that special talk, with your child about the birds and the bees. It's never easy. But when it comes to substance abuse, or it comes to mood altering substances, or drinking, or, taking things, through peer pressure or parties, which, a lot of kids can't go to now. So imagine what's going through their mind. They struggle in their own way as well. So I really encourage families to, engage in a listening process and get on the phone and talk to some experts, family physician, faith-based leader, and get to the right level of expertise. I like the example, if your child broke their arm, you would not go on YouTube and try to reset it. You would go to the emergency room and you'd have a professional take the x-rays and do what needs to be done to verify what's taking place, and then put the appropriate level of care, in place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm a strong believer in allowing our kids to talk and just listen, because I had to, check myself too, just, for my son's sake, so that he would talk to me, because a lot of times teenagers won't talk to their, parents, and then sometimes it's like we could make it hard for them, and so, I had to make sure that I was being a listener and not always just a talker, so that I wouldn't push him away and that he wouldn't want to talk to me. We actually had this conversation the other day, and I let him know. I said, no matter what it is, I said, you can come and talk to me, and I will listen. So we teach our kids to be independent and to be able to talk and speak, do all these things. And then when it comes to us, then we're like, we just kind of throw it out the window, and what we says goes, and then we have to really pay close attention to that, because then they won't talk to us. I mean, I know I wouldn't if somebody just was not listening, shut me down all the time. It's not always kids just talking, or just to be talking, or whatever the case may be.
Well, and I think kids are basically, we'll personalize it. When I was confronted as a child, I was embarrassed to tell my parents I drank a lot. I was embarrassed. I felt shame around it. I didn't want them to think that I was losing control. I didn't want my parents to believe that I was doing something that was defined as inappropriate in their eyes, if you will. Because in my eyes, it's like, well, everyone else is doing it, I want to do it. So it was embarrassing. And not only embarrassing, it's, it's kind of like, walking in on somebody in the shower. It's just not natural, and it's uncomfortable. So, having that kind of conversation with a child is not easy. And sometimes you just have to sit quietly and let them know that, I love you, I care about you, and I'm scared. Can I better understand? Can you help me? And then be quiet. Don't prod them. Don't push them. Don't try to ask them to connect the dots. Just listen and know that it probably won't come out the first time, and it may not the second or third, but over time, you can build that opportunity. But it's a tough one. Kids don't want to tell their parents, and and the reason they don't is they're told by their peers, whatever you do, don't tell your mom and dad you're doing this. We're keeping all this stuff in your garage, for God's sakes. We don't want them to find that. Or, if you want to be part of this posse, you better follow the rules. So there's a lot of peer pressure out there today, and kids don't normally trust their parents because they're parents. I mean, that's their job, and their job is to try to get away with things. And as parents, it's your job to try to catch them. And it just seems, when I say it like that, it sounds funny, because that's kind of the roles we have. I mean, I was a drive-by parent, but I was very discreet, and my kids didn't know about it until later on in life, and I told them. And, they didn't like it when they heard it, but they realized that I was doing it for the right reasons. And since they never caught me, I kind of got away with it. But all I was doing is just trying to make sure that they were safe, and where they were is where they said they're going to be. And that was my own concern, because I knew what I was like as a kid. So there you have it. That's the story about kids. Hey, I would like to bring something up that we haven't talked about, and I actually haven't launched publicly, and I'm happy to do it here if you're okay with it. I want to talk about, I'm not even going to let you answer. I'm just going to put it out there. A confidential recovery just got in network with TriWest. TriWest is the administrative insurance arm that provides insurance for non-active duty veterans in our community. So confidential recovery starting in May is going to be serving veterans and their families in our community. And we're very, very excited about it. And this is the first time actually I've mentioned it publicly, Brandy. So you're getting it first. And it took me a whole year to work with the process of getting approved. And, we're an outpatient program. It's not that complicated, but, the VA is busy, and, we want veterans to know in our community that, if you're non-active duty, meaning you've left the military, and you're having an issue with substance abuse or behavioral health issues, depression, anxiety that's driven by substance abuse or PTSD, we want you to call us over at Confidential Recovery. And I'm going to give that number as well. It's area code 619-452-1200, 452-1200, confidentialrecovery.com. You can look at it online. So, it's been a year in the process, and we just got the contract literally 3 weeks ago, signed, ready to go. Even though we were approved back in December, it took the VA, through TriWest and Blue Shield in California between December and late March to get the contract out. You imagine that? Almost 4 months to get a piece of paper signed, and we were approved back in December. It's just amazing. It's the VA in our country is a
that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, $280 billion is what the VA's budget is. I think it's the second highest budget of any operating division of our country. And, they sure, I don't know if they do a bad job or just aren't effective, but they sure spend a lot of money, and veterans just don't get the kind of quality and care. And I'm not making my own personal opinion. So again, confidential recovery is going to be serving veterans. We're very excited about it. And, we want people to call us starting in May, and we'll start setting up appointments and doing intakes and assessments and get you cleared and approved. And if, anybody in your family is suffering from substance abuse or drinking or any other addiction that's approved by TriWest, we'll do what we can to provide the clinical support that you need. And you don't have to wait in a long line when you come to us. And, we're right off of Miramar Road in the middle of the community. So we want to make it easy for people. So we're very excited about helping veterans and their families.
That's awesome. That is so awesome, because I am such a supporter of veterans and them getting what they need. And I get really upset when I see them not getting, having a rough time getting what they need, because I feel like, hey, you served the country. So I mean, I don't know if many feel that. I know many do, but it bothers me.
Yeah, and I think everybody supports wanting to help veterans, and 40% of our homeless population in San Diego.
Yes.
So, we're the largest veteran population per capita in the country. So when you think about it, I mean, we have a lot of veterans organizations, not a lot of them provide substance abuse treatment, because technically the VA has been the one who's been doing it. And, the VA is busy, and there's people with, and the way, what I talk about is, the issue around substance abuse and addiction can be treated in an outpatient environment. A lot of things have to be inpatient. So we want people to know that, there are options and opportunities, and there is hope and there is help. And I think that, we're my colleague is a veteran, and he gets it, and we're going to do what we can to connect in the community. And we're not trying to take anything away from the VA. We just, the VA is huge. We just want to be able to let people know there is an option, because some people are not comfortable, walking into that bureaucracy. And at Confidential Recovery, we make it so easy that we encourage people to reach out, knowing there's an option. It sure beats the alternative.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely, hands down, because I know I have a few family members, and then my son's father used to be in the military, and I know that comes with a lot of times with a lot of, which a lot of people don't understand, is, that's like, I don't want to say baggage, but I've been through a lot or seen a lot, and
Sure.
the PTSD I saw firsthand, like, wasn't no joke, and so I very much appreciate that you do that, and I'm so happy to be the first to, so I'm definitely gonna hold value to this, and put all the information also onto a website I'm working on, and on my Facebook page, so that could be something that is people can see. And because some people won't say anything until they actually we won't know. Nobody will until they actually you come across it. And you might know somebody. You might be like, oh, I know somebody who's you know dealing with this, looking for this. So all it takes is word of mouth from one person, and then it's awesome that you're doing that.
Well, thank you. And I'm just grateful that I can do that, and I'm looking forward to just being a resource. And you talk about PTSD. There isn't a lot of the studies show that a lot of PTSD is aggravated by alcohol or mood altering substances and self medication. And when you talk to veterans who have experienced trauma, and it goes untreated, it organically just becomes PTSD. And then untreated PTSD in a family, the other parts of the family get the same exposure to it. It's almost like the flu. They get PTSD, and then it becomes a major issue in the family. It contributes to domestic violence and contributes to abuse and contributes to addiction. So there's nothing wrong with getting help for something like that. And as you said, people have served our country. Not that anybody else is different, but the fact that they're not able to access the kind of treatment they should, and they need, and they want, and they're eligible for it. So, we're going to do what we can. And when I get on a campaign, me, I'll let people know, and I'll make sure that spotlight hits those of greatest need. And I've always worked with populations that, sometimes are referred to as the community throwaways, but there's no way that a veteran who served, who has an issue, shouldn't have an opportunity to get treatment. And, truly, one of the great things I think our current president did was he created what's called the Choice Program. And that was a program that allowed veterans to go outside of the VA system to get help for medical behavioral health support if they wanted to do that. So if they don't know it, they should know it. They have that opportunity now, which didn't exist up until 2.5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So, I hope that'll be something that people take advantage of. And I like when people take advantage of something like that in a positive way.
If you want to show your support to the nation during this time of the coronavirus, well, then Anchor is a great way to do that. Using the creation tools that allow you to record and edit from your phone and computer is very easy to do. Anchor will distribute your podcast, and you'll be heard on Spotify, Google Cast, so many different platforms. You don't have to do a thing. Anchor will do that for you. Speaking for what you stand for. Use your podcast to let the nation know that your support is there and that you care. Anchor is a free app, and you can find it right on Google Play Store, or go to your web browser and put in anchor.fm. Your podcast can make a difference right here in Anchor, and it's free. So don't forget, Anchor. Go and download it now.
But yes, so Scott, I wanted to touch on this before we parted ways. I know that I guess I don't know if like we're talking about how certain things are quieted down right now because everybody's tucked away somewhere and not really out and about. But I know that the thing you were doing the safe homes and the removal of the medication properly, and then that still the topic of the opioids, and then also when I was talking with Michael Glenn, where he was telling me how about the vaping and how that has really not been as okay as it was said to be when they kind of put it out there.
Yeah. Well, let me hit the Safe Home Coalition. Thanks very much for bringing that up. Safe Home Coalition is a nonprofit that's helping educate families to remove unsafe and unused medication from the home. And makeitaSafeHome.org is the website. MakeitaSafeHome.org is our website. So you can look there, and you can always call me with the number I've given out, and I'll help direct you. It's been quiet because right now, obviously it's hard to get anything done in the community. And because right now, obviously, the priority is the priority, but we'll be back at it hopefully, end of spring, going into summer for the season. And right now, clearly, with everybody at home, opioids stuck in medicine cabinets are a big target. So I don't want to promote that, because if you hadn't thought about it, I don't want you thinking about it on my watch. So at the end of the day, we're going to be prepared to ramp that back up and just heighten awareness. If you've got unused and unsafe medication sitting in your medicine cabinet, and according to science, 60% of the households do, be very careful with it. Secure it as best you can, just like you would your jewelry or your cash, at least for now, until things get a little safer. And what was the other question that you brought up about that you were talking about? I'm sorry.
The vaping.
The vaping. Vaping, it's fascinating. Vaping is, gosh, I don't know, I forgot that. Vaping is something that was actually created to get young people off of tobacco. I mean, when they came up with the idea, the concept was pretty solid. And I think, it was a great way to substitute cigarette smoking for vaping. But what's happened with vaping is, with the opportunity now with legalized marijuana and access to legalized marijuana, you can go in and you can get different oils that you can put into vaping pipes. And what happens is marijuana is so much stronger today than it used to be. And then when you're putting it into a vaping pipe, the portal it uses to get, medications or different type of flavors into the body through the vaping pipe, it's actually put thousands of people in the hospital, because what it's doing to the lungs, and people don't know exactly what's happening with it. They said it was a vitamin E thing mixed with different flavors. So vaping's become a real issue. And I don't really like to do things like tell people not to do something. What I ask people to do is just get informed and know that because there are vaping stores across the country that sell the apparatuses and the different, toxins, if you will. How can I call them toxins? Anytime you're breathing something into your body, that's not necessarily a good thing. So just be careful of what you're taking in, and know that, because a lot of it was the president last year says, we're going to take everything off the shelf. And then he got a major pushback because the economy of scale with that industry was so huge that his constituents said, no, you can't do that because you'll put these people out of business. So he walked it back. And then, the whole concept behind vaping is, as I think originally started as a good one, and the controls over it, like any other industry, got to the streets, and people are making their own concoctions now, and they don't have any quality assurance, and kids are getting a hold of that. And I think in many ways that's what's contributing to these major lung problems, to the point that there was a kid on TV a couple of months ago that he's 17. He lost both his lungs, and he said, I'll be on 24 medications every day for the rest of my life. 17. I mean, his world as he never knew it yet was going to be over. So I really caution people just to be informed, be very careful with it, and just know what you're putting in your body. And that goes when you're going to, parties and situations, or somebody brings something over to the house, or, you're dipping into something. Things are cut today. Counterfeit medication is a huge problem.
Yeah.
You can grind and put anything, into some sort of a liquid to put into a pipe, which is technically what a vaping vessel is. So just be careful and know that, you should really be certain. I mean, why would you ever sit at a restaurant and if the reputation of the restaurant was that they were putting things on the table that they got from third world countries that were known to potentially cause food poisoning? Would you eat that? No. So my point is to simply just be informed, make good, solid, informed decisions before you put things in your body. And, and I'm a guy who loves pizza, and pizza's not good for you per se, but you know what? You have to make smart choices, and you have to put a balance in life as best you can.
Yep. It takes discipline and consistency and practice, but it's like, have to, if you want to live, basically, if you want to have a life, then I guess those are the things you're gonna have to do. Can't do those things and then be like, what happened? What did I do wrong?
Right. Well, and you don't want to do things that potentially could risk you. There's so many other things you can do. There's millions of things you can do that aren't risky. They're safe and they're good for you. So if you're going to do something that might be borderline, just really be informed. I mean, I never want to tell somebody don't do something, because to me it's a trigger for go do it. Yeah, so exactly. I just say be informed, make sure what you're doing as best as you possibly can. And if you can't be clear that something you're about to put in your body, you don't know where it came from, or you don't know what's in it, why would you risk your life? That's
like Russian roulette, right?
Well, yeah, it's exactly. And if the kids who don't know what Russian roulette is, I don't want to tell them, but it is like Russian roulette. You're taking a huge risk with an unknown outcome. For what reason? It just doesn't make sense when you think about that.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's, gotten to the streets now. So it's kind of like, ugh, And so like, if you're going to be partaking in that, you should make sure you get it from, where from the right places where they sell them, and that they are.
Yeah, there's reputable retailers out there that have products that are, quality controlled, how they're being made, and they're made for that purpose, and it's not a cross purpose. And, I think, I don't believe that any of those products that are, were started for the right reasons. But, it's interesting. One of the largest vaping pipe manufacturers, Juul, I think it is run by Philip Morris, which was one of the largest tobacco companies in the world. So, again, I believe that there are products out there that they're making that are safe, and that if you're going to do it the right way, if you will. Why not? Why would you want to jeopardize it? Why would you want to put a potential poison? It's like sitting in the garage and doing spray painting and not wearing a respirator or a mask. You run the risk of, potentially, intoxicating yourself or dying, or, from the fumes or the chemicals. Just be safe, be informed.
Like you said, make smart choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or at least informed choices. I mean, sometimes they're not smart, but they're informed. And, some people think, well, I am smart, I don't need to think about it. Well, in today's world, if you're putting something in your body that you're not supposed to, or you're putting something in your body people say you shouldn't, just be informed if you're going to do it. Because, at the end of the day, you probably will. But I just want you to, I don't want to go to someone's funeral. I'm on this funeral avoidance campaign for 2020. I want to stop going to funerals. It's just too upsetting.
Oh, yeah.
End this on a positive note and stay upbeat and let people know that there is hope and help. And let me give you my number again, Brandy. It's 619-993-2738, 619-993-2738. And I dare people to call or text me. I do. I really dare you. And when I see an unfamiliar number in my phone, I get excited, because what that means is there might be somebody calling that wouldn't normally make a phone call, and that we can work something out to help them move forward. So, and Scott H. Silverman, yourcrisiscoach.com. Reach out, for heaven's sakes. We have time. Let's talk to each other. Let's each make a new friend and see how we can be a resource. What do you think, Brandy?
I think that's pretty awesome. I love it. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, could I do? Because we've been down that road, and I still want to be a part of, and I was trying to figure out where I fit in, because I was trying, and I was like, I know I definitely have this love and this thing with youth, you know what I mean? And I said, maybe that's just my area, and I just want to still so much be able to be a part of and be able to help someone, that's in need and that could get to you. Because I feel like, since I know you and I know you're here, that no one has an excuse, especially since I know you, that, hey, there is somebody that can help you to guide you to where you need to go, and I feel like having you here on the planet, you know what I mean? It's such a gift. You know what I mean? Because you could tell your heart's in it, and you're willing, and you're like, here's my number, call me anytime, if you like, call me, I won't, so that's very awesome. And I feel like if I ever had a need or a problem, that I know exactly where to go, and, I don't feel like I would, be alone. So, you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say.
No, and look, and if you get good at what you do and you get great at what you do, you're going to put me out of business, and what a great honor that would be. Meaning, if you work with the kids and they get it, and I don't have to deal with adults who are suffering from issues, I think that would be awesome. Put me out of business, Brandy. Put me out of business. That would be fun. And anything I can do for you, and I'm very responsive, and I like to be, and that's kind of how we met. You had a need, and I had a desire, and we connected, and I'm finding ways with you and others to, get the word out there that there is hope and there is help, and you do have choices. You do have choices. In San Diego, look, we're a big community, 3.3 million people. So, ask for help. 3 hard words. I need help. It's okay, though. We're here for you.
Yeah. And you'll feel better after you do it.
Yep. Always. Or at least somebody in your family will.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. But yeah, I definitely targeting those kids, because, they're the future, and I believe it's up to us to give them a platform, a fighting chance to be able to be great, the great people that they are.
I agree.
Well, I definitely always appreciate, it's been a long time, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing, especially at such a time like this too, because, more people are at home and some people are just like, oh my God. So thank you so much for doing this. And I'm definitely excited about putting this out and just having it available.
And you know me, anytime. I'm 7 days a week. I do go to bed at night, and like I said, I put my phone near the room, but you can reach out to me. And look, if you don't even want to talk to me and you go, hey, I need a resource, I'll give you a resource. That's okay. If you say, oh, he sounds like he's too old, that's fine, or he doesn't have enough experience, or I'm not a clinician, and I'm not. But I'll make the appropriate referral. I'll send you over to some people. I'll give you a couple of phone numbers or some suggestions, or let's just talk it through. You may just have somebody who's acting stupid because they got stuck on stupid. And it may not be a deeply rooted issue. It may just be something we have to talk about. And that's what I like to do. And if I can help, that's even better.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much, Scott. And anytime you're welcome on my show, and anything you ever need, you know what I mean, to bring on here, or you just help in general, I'm here.
Awesome. And thank you, Brandy, for all the great work that you're doing and putting a platform out there where people can actually, hear and talk about, and then information's being shared, with your foundation and your platform that you're putting together to make it easy for others to access support and help. That's great what you're doing. So thank you very much for all you're doing.
Thank you. Well, okay. Well, you enjoy the rest of your beautiful Sunday.
You too.
And I will be talking soon.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.